Okay, I found out at the last second that I was going to be the last speaker, so I guess my job is to try to end everything on a very high note. But the problem is, everybody has taken every trick, every funny joke, everything from me, so we're just going to sit here for a couple of minutes, because I got nothing. Like nothing. No, but seriously, I was really inspired today because the TED Talks are kind of a version of a lot of the talks that I first started listening to about 7 years ago, I want to say, whenever I first wanted to become an entrepreneur. Those were about software startups. They weren't about, building sustainable communities and so forth, but it's still the same vein. There's two things that happen whenever you come to talks like this. You're getting information, and hopefully you're being motivated. So hopefully all of you out here in one way, shape, or form are being motivated to want to do something. And it's not necessarily, my background, which is, building software. It could be trying to help your community. It could be, Mayor John's case of trying to basically rebuild Braddock. He did remind me, though, that I can't wait till Sons of Anarchy comes back on TV. And I'm a big dude, and that guy's kind of scary. But anyway, so if you feel motivated to do something, the same way years ago I felt motivated to start a software company because I was sitting in the crowd watching other people talk about what they've done, you're probably going to run into the same problems I ran into, which is, how do you go from faking it to making it? How do you go from being a wantrepreneur to being an entrepreneur? How do you go from having passion, having motivation, but and turning that into actually accomplishing something and making something? So it took 4 years of all kinds of mistakes and failures for me to come up with my own kind of, maybe it's not 3 steps. I'm trying to figure out, is it a process? Is it a framework? Is it a blueprint? Is it a Hostess cupcake? I don't know. But the way I've started to kind of think about a way to motivate people, because I get asked all the time, what do I do to get my company off the ground? How do I get my company off of the ground? And I always want to say, I don't know. I think my company's still getting off the ground, so I just make up stuff. I just say magic, things like that, whatever. But I've come up with this framework that I call words, actions, accomplishments. I guess from your perspective, words, actions, accomplishment, right? And this is a framework that works for all kinds of businesses, not just starting an internet company or starting a sustainable community, or maybe you want to bring a coffee shop to your neighborhood. The thing about being innovative, and the thing about where we're at right now, is entrepreneurialism exists in anybody who's creating something. Entrepreneurialism sometimes is hijacked as being just a profit motivator. But there's a lot of different reasons to be entrepreneurial. And I think that the framework of words, actions, and accomplishments, it's a good framework to start with. So first, let's start off by understanding what I mean by words, actions, and accomplishments. The faster you can move your idea, your motivation from words to actions, see, I got it right now. From words to actions to accomplishments, the faster you're going to go from faking it to making it, wantrepreneur to entrepreneur, an idea person to somebody who's changed something in your community, in your world, or in the entire planet. So let's start off with words. Everybody repeat after me. I want to be an entrepreneur. 1, 2, 3, go.
I want to be an entrepreneur.
1, 2, 3, I want to be a change agent.
I want to be a change agent.
1, 2, 3, I want my baby back ribs. Wow, it's just amazing. There's something in there for the people who are talking about the brain around. People just follow whatever you say. Maybe I should have cursed, see if you'd said that too. No. But the whole point of that is, isn't it easy to say you want to do something? Isn't it easy to say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start a company, I want to change my community? Words are just words. And a lot of people fall flat because they stop at words. They come to entrepreneurial events, they come to different types of organizational events, and they talk about what they want to do. They use the term, I'm a change agent, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a social whatever, this, that, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the 231st. But they're not really doing anything. And the interesting thing about words they're not worthless. They're actually both worthless and priceless at the exact same time. Because you've all heard the statement, all talk, no action, right? And that's what we mean whenever we say, you're just talking about what you're going to do, but you're not really doing anything. But the interesting thing about words are, without words, there is no action. Because the only way that you can decide what you want to do is if you start to think of words in your head. What do I want to do for my community? What do I want to do for myself? What do I want to do for technology or for innovation, for science, whatever? So these words form in your head, and then those words turn into conversations you have with people. You saying things to people that help validate your idea. That sounds really interesting. You should work on that. Or that sounds like crap. You should think of something else that happens too. Let's write that down, scratch it out. But the whole point is you need words in order to form your ideas for what you want to do to be innovative. For me, thinking about the fact that I wanted to try to basically help every job in the world have a voice, an equal opportunity of being filled. And being able to kind of say that to people, it got me charged up because they were telling me, yeah, that's a great idea. Here's how important words are. Can you imagine if Evan Williams, and Jack Dorsey, who were building Twitter, were basically building this really great future of, real-time social interaction technology. And when somebody said, what are you working on? We're working on a tool to allow you to type in 140 characters and send it to your friends. If that's all they said. It wouldn't sound impressive. It wouldn't motivate anybody. People wouldn't rally around you. Words are so important that if you say, we're trying to build the pulse of the planet, we are trying to allow people to learn what's going on anywhere in the world right now. Suddenly you're motivating yourself and you're motivating other people. So even though you can say that and you haven't done anything yet, words are still very valuable for you to be able to then go out and try to do the next step of this words, actions, accomplishments, is action. And actions, this is your progress bar. And a lot of people, they fall flat in this area because this is where all the work happens whenever you're trying to do something. If you're going to just be the person who sits in the audience and listens, or you're going to be the person who goes out and actually tries to do something. Think about a progress bar, right? You can come up to somebody and you can tell them what you're working on, that's your words. And then you got to follow up with, well, here's what I've been doing. And let's take it in my familiar space, writing software. So, we're trying to start mobile app, whatever, company X. And here's where we are right now. We've gotten a couple customers, we've gotten a couple downloads. The more you can kind of fill up your progress bar and explain to people what you're doing, the more they're going to start to believe that you're real. The more they're going to want to help you. The more they're going to be motivated to assist you. A way that I like to think about it is, especially from a business and a startup standpoint, is the faster you can move from words to actions to accomplishments, the faster you can move from raising seed money to angel money to venture capital money. Talk about accomplishments in a second and how that leads to millions of dollars going in your bank account. Well, not yours, it would be nice. So back to actions. So actions, it's kind of like your to-do list. So if you think about what you're trying to accomplish, right? You think about the words in your head, usually they're your accomplishments. What do I want to do? I want to add this to my community. I want to start this business. But in between there is your progress bar. It's the things you need to do in order to make your idea happen. Now, these types of things, they're everything from sitting at home at night with your friends and writing code. It's searching for real estate in the community so that you can open up that shop. Or that rec center for someone. It's basically activity. It's activity to prove to yourself and to prove to the people around you that you are about it. You don't want to become a fake in this particular area of this framework, because this is where people start to rally behind you. If you think about John's story, Mayor John's story, his actions are tearing down bad buildings and putting up great places for people to hang out. And you can look at that and say, as we segue into accomplishments, that's an accomplishment. It's not. It's not. That's just an action. And the next thing, when we talk about accomplishments, this is where people often make a mistake. People start to look at the actions that they're doing as accomplishments, and they never really accomplish anything. And here's an easy way to kind of think about what a true accomplishment is. If words are just words, if Actions are your progress bar. Think of accomplishments as trophies. So you think about a trophy, and let's try to do this like when I was a kid. Like, think about, like, there's no such thing as, hey, you kick the ball around on the soccer team so you get a trophy. Let's pretend that doesn't exist. You don't bring your friends over to your house and say, hey, check this out, look at this. Yeah, I got this last year. Yeah, it's because I made a cup of coffee, and it's exciting, right? I'm really, take a look at me right here. Yeah, this is, I was up all night writing code. It's not really an accomplishment. It's not. And that's the problem I think that a lot of people have is whenever they're wondering, why is it so hard? Why are we not getting funding? Why are people not believing in us? It's because you're not thinking about what would you really want to pull for your idea, for what you're trying to innovate in. What would you like the bottom of that trophy to really say? Something that when you held it up as a trophy and pointed it at somebody and said, I did this. Like John can hold up that trophy and he can say, this is a dramatic reduction in crime or in police calls in 1 year. That's a tangible thing that someone can say, that's progress. And you know what? One of my actions to do that was to build that playground. So now all of a sudden, whenever you start thinking about what you want to accomplish as a trophy, you're going to realize that you have to raise the bar for what those things are. Now, here's the interesting thing about this words, actions, accomplishments kind of framework is it's not a one-time thing. The idea behind it is whenever you start an idea, you're going to win a little trophy like this. So like I think about my company. You know what my first trophy was? My first customer. It wasn't launching the app because I thought about it and I said, you know what? If I showed this up to say, hey, I'm proud of myself because I launched that, but I set my bar as if I'm going to sell a product, I got to convince one customer to buy it. So I got this little tiny trophy in my head a long time ago that I had my first customer. But this words, action, accomplishments, it's cyclical. There you go. I was going to say cylindrical, but I think I'm getting right. So the idea behind it is each time you go through this process, you raise the bar. Because the reality is anything that you're going to try to get off the ground, the same way I started a company by myself and now we're 35 people a couple years later, is you have to start off with tangible accomplishments that are something that you can do with the resources you have. So, once you identify those, you can go back through and say, okay, what's the next tangible accomplishment we need to achieve? This is kind of project management 101, but the reality is that people get bogged down in not identifying what a true accomplishment is. And if you keep going through this process and keep raising the bar for what an accomplishment is, you're going to keep gaining bigger and bigger trophies. And it's almost like you have this mental trophy case in your company, or rather in your head, for what you've accomplished, and you're proud of it. And then whenever you're talking to people and they're asking, well, what have you done? You can say things like this. And this is a little bit of a brag because I feel like this is the trophy case that I've built over time. That, I'm excited because we started the company 4 years ago. We got our first customer 1 month after we started, a little trophy. Ding. Since then, we've been able to attract some of the coolest companies in the world. Atari, Pinterest, Instagram, using our software. Felt like those are little trophies too. We were able to get both presidential campaigns last year using our software. And now all of a sudden, as I go through all these different things, suddenly I have this nice big brag book that allows me to create an even bigger accomplishment down here. So now I can say, if I have all of these assets to work with, when I talk, my words are not just BS. I can also use words that are accomplishments as well. I can set a higher and higher bar. So if you think about where you're at right now with your idea, if you have an app you're trying to build, or if you have a movement you're trying to start, what's that first trophy? It can be that big. And what are you going to do? Like what's your big vision, your idea, and so forth that's going to motivate people to help you? Because you have no resources. And then how are you guys going to put actions in place where you're going to be able to actually achieve that first accomplishment? And then once you do, you celebrate for a little bit and you go back through the entire cycle all over again. Is the entrepreneur's cycle. I don't know, as I said, I'm working on it. I'm trying to make it up. It's a blueprint, it's working in progress. But if you're able to do that, you're going to be able to actually do the things that you want to do. You're going to be able to get out of that job and become an entrepreneur. You're going to be able to change your community. You're going to be able to actually not just be someone sitting in the audience, but someday just being right here and telling the story all over again. I hope you use this framework because I hope it becomes like, the framework for you being able to do what you want to do. And if not, then whatever. So without further ado, I'm going to step off the stage now, make a byline for the drinks, and I guess I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks. Okay.